A dead man falls out of the sky over a tropical island, and a group of schoolboys mistakes him for the devil. His parachute catches the wind, and his body rocks at the top of the mountain, rising and falling as if it is breathing. Below, the boys whisper that the beast has finally shown itself. What they do not know, and what the reader only slowly realizes, is that the dead man is not the real monster in this story. The real monster has been on the island from the very first day because the boys carried it inside themselves. The story opens with a plane crash. A group of British schoolboys has been evacuated during a war, and their plane has gone down over the ocean. The boys survive, scattered along the shore of a deserted island. There are no adults, no parents, no teachers, no one to say when to eat, when to sleep, or what to do. At first, that feels like paradise. The island is beautiful, warm, full of fruit and fresh water. But within a few chapters, that same island will turn into a hunting ground, and the hunters will not be animals. The first boy we meet is a fair-haired boy named Ralph. The second is a fat, asthmatic boy with glasses who's never given a real name in the book. He is called Piggy, a nickname he hates but cannot escape. Ralph and Piggy find something on the beach, a large cream-colored conch shell. They blow into it, and the sound carries across the island, calling the other boys together. That shell becomes the first symbol of order. It is a way to gather, to speak one at a time, to turn a scattered group of children into something like a society. The boys hold an election. Ralph is chosen as chief, mostly because he is tall, attractive, and holds the conch. Jack Merridew, the head choir boy, wants to be chief too, and the loss stings him. From that first vote, the battle between Ralph and Jack is set. Ralph wants rules, rescue, and a signal fire. Jack wants hunting, excitement, and power. The island becomes an arena for something much older than these boys, the tension between civilization and the wild. Here is the first small mechanism worth noticing, because everything else in the book depends on it. The conch works only because the boys agree to let it work. It has no power of its own. It is a shell. But when the boys decide that only the person holding the conch may speak, the conch becomes a tool for managing fear and conflict. That is the entire secret of civilization in miniature. Rules are not physical objects. They only survive as long as enough people choose to obey them. The moment that choice stops, the rule is just a shell on the sand. The first cracks appear quickly. A small boy, one of the little ones, mentions a beastie, a snake-like thing he says he saw in the forest. The older boys laugh, but the fear does not go away. It spreads. And here is the part most readers miss. The beast is never real. Not once in the entire novel does an actual monster appear. But the fear of the beast becomes more real to the boys than the island itself. And that fear does more damage than any animal ever could. The beast is not in the jungle. It is in their minds. And because it is in their minds, it cannot be killed. This is the first major shift in the book. The boys were supposed to be free. Instead, they are discovering that freedom without rules does not feel like freedom at all. It feels like fear. The little ones have nightmares. The older boys start arguing over the signal fire. A ship passes on the horizon, while the fire has been left unattended, and the one chance of rescue drifts away. Ralph, standing on the beach, watches the smoke thin and vanish. and he realizes that Jack's obsession with hunting has just cost them their way home. The conflict between Ralph and Jack is not really about the fire. It is about what the island should mean. Ralph sees the island as a waiting room, a place to survive until rescue. Jack sees the island as a hunting ground, a place to prove himself. Ralph builds shelters. Jack paints his face with clay and chases pigs. The two boys want different futures, and neither one can fully understand the other. Ralph thinks Jack is childish. Jack thinks Ralph is weak. Both are partly right, and both are missing the same thing. The island is changing them. The most important transformation in the book happens one day when Jack discovers face paint. He smears white and red clay over his cheeks, and the mask changes him. Behind the painted face, he is no longer Jack, the choir boy who was embarrassed to kill a pig. He is a hunter. He lets out a blood-curdling cry, and his hunters follow. The mask lets him do what he could not do as himself. This is the second psychological mechanism in the book. When people hide behind a mask, a uniform, a role, or a crowd, they become capable of acts they would normally refuse. The paint is not decoration, it is permission. The first pig is killed. The boys are thrilled. They chant and dance around the carcass, smearing blood on their faces. But while they were hunting, the signal fire went out. Ralph confronts Jack, and Jack, still high on the kill, cannot understand why Ralph cares more about smoke than meat. That is the moment the two visions of the island finally clash. Ralph wants to be rescued. Jack wants to be feared. From here, the story moves steadily toward violence. Now the book introduces its strangest and most important character. Simon is a quiet, sensitive boy who sometimes wanders off alone into the forest. He is prone to fainting, and the other boys think he is odd. But Simon is the only one who understands something no one else can face. When the boys debate whether the beast is real, Simon tries to speak. He says, "Maybe there is a beast." Then he pauses and adds, "Maybe it's only us." He is not talking about a monster in the jungle. He is talking about the thing inside each of them. That sentence, "Maybe it's only us," is the key to the entire novel. The boys are terrified of an outside beast, but the real danger is inside them. Golding is making a claim about human nature. The savagery we fear in the world is not foreign. It is not imported. It is native. It waits beneath the surface of even the most civilized child. And when the rules fall away, that thing does not need to be summoned. It comes out on its own. The fear of the beast reaches a breaking point when a dead parachutist lands on the mountain. The boys, hunting for the beast at night, see the figure swaying in the wind, and they run. The corpse becomes their proof that the beast is real. The irony is brutal. The thing they fear is a dead man, a victim of the adult war happening far away. The grown-up world they long to return to is busy killing itself, and its dead fall into their paradise like a message they cannot read. Jack, sensing the fear, uses it. He offers the boys protection from the beast. He promises meat, hunting, and sacrifice. He breaks away from Ralph's group and forms his own tribe at the far end of the island on a rocky headland called Castle Rock. He paints his face, and his followers paint theirs. The tribe becomes a thing of drums, chants, and blood. Ralph's small band of loyal boys, Piggy, Simon, Sam, and Eric, keeps trying to keep the fire lit, but they are losing. The Conch is losing. The rules are losing. This is where the most disturbing psychological mechanism takes over. The mob. When the boys gather in a circle and dance around the fire, something changes. Each boy alone would be frightened and ashamed. But in the circle, With drums beating and voices chanting, the individual disappears. The group becomes a single organism, and no one feels personally responsible. Psychologists call this a loss of self-awareness. The boys call it fun. And one stormy night, it stops being fun. That night, Simon crawls out of the forest. He has seen the dead parachutist up close, and he understands the truth. The beast on the mountain is a dead man, not a monster. He staggers toward the boys to tell them, but the boys are in the middle of their stone dance, wild with fear and adrenaline. They see a shadowy figure crawling out of the dark, and they fall on it. They bite, tear, and stab. They kill Simon. They kill the one boy who could have told them the truth. And then the storm breaks, and the body is carried out to sea. That is the moment the book crosses a line. The death of Simon is not an accident of fear, though the boys will try to convince themselves it was. It is a group killing, made possible by the very thing the boys thought would protect them, the tribe. The dance, the chant, the shared fear. All of it dissolved their individual consciences. No single boy killed Simon. All of them did. And that is precisely the point. Evil does not need a single villain. It needs a crowd. After Simon's death, the boys do not talk about what happened. They cannot. To talk about it would mean facing what they have become. Instead, they double down. Jack's tribe steals Piggy's glasses to light their own fire. Without his glasses, Piggy cannot see. Ralph, Piggy, and Sam and Eric go to Castle Rock to demand them back. Piggy carries the conch, the last fragile symbol of order, and he demands to speak. He asks the boys a question that will be his last. Which is better, to have rules and order and rescue, or to hunt and kill and burn? The answer comes not in words, but in a rock. Roger, a quiet boy who has grown crueler as the story goes on, leans on a lever high above the entrance to Castle Rock. He sends a boulder tumbling down. It strikes Piggy, kills him instantly, and shatters the conch into 1,000 white fragments. The fall of the conch is the fall of the law. From that moment, there are no rules left on the island. There are only hunters and the hunted. Ralph runs. He is now the prey. Jack's tribe sets fire to the forest to smoke him out. Ralph flees through burning trees, crawling, hiding, desperate. He is no longer a chief. He is an animal being hunted. The irony is complete. The boy who tried to keep the fire lit for rescue is now being chased by fire set by his own classmates. The island, once a paradise, has become a furnace. The rescue comes, but not in the form Ralph hoped. A naval officer steps onto the beach, drawn by the smoke from the fire. Jack lit. The officer sees a group of painted, dirty boys, some of them crying. He assumes they have been playing war games. He smiles and says he expected better from British boys. He does not see the dead Piggy, the dead Simon, or the fact that he has just walked into the aftermath of a murder. He sees only children. But the reader sees the truth. These children have done what adults do. They have made war. That final scene is the great irony of the book. The officer is a figure of the adult world, the world of warships and uniforms and rescue. But that same adult world is the one that bombed the boys out of the sky in the first place. The officer's war has been killing millions. His disappointment in the boys is blind. He cannot see that the savagery on the island is a miniature of the savagery he is returning to. The boys are not an exception. They are a mirror. Golding wrote Lord of the Flies in the early 1950s after he had served in the Second World War. He had seen what men could do. He had watched the thin line between civilization and barbarism snap. He was not optimistic. The book is his argument, made through boys on a desert island, that the line between us and the beast is not a wall. It is a thread, and it snaps under pressure. The question the book asks is not whether the boys will turn savage. It is how quickly and why. The four main characters are not just people, they are positions in a debate. Ralph represents order, democracy, and the hope of rescue. Piggy represents reason, science, and the voice of the adult world. Jack represents the pull of power, aggression, and the joy of the hunt. Simon represents conscience, insight, and the truth no one wants to hear. The island is the stage. The beast is the fear that connects them all. What most readers get wrong about the book is that they think it is about children. It is not. The children are a deliberate choice because they strip the question down to its bones. Adults come with systems, laws, police, courts, armies. Children come with almost nothing. Golding wanted to see what would happen if you removed all the scaffolding of civilization. What is left? His answer is not comforting. What is left is a conch shell, a pair of broken glasses, and a group of boys who, left alone, invent a god to fear, and then become that god. Consider the beast for a moment. It begins as a child's nightmare, a snake thing in the creepers. It grows into a corpse on the mountain. It becomes a reason to hunt, a reason to sacrifice, a reason to kill. The boys never find the beast, because they are looking in the wrong place. They look outward, into the jungle and the mountain. They never look inward. The beast is the fear itself. The fear of being alone, the fear of being powerless, the fear of what they might do. And the more they feed that fear, the more real it becomes. The fear of being alone, the fear of being alone, the fear, when it is shared, stops being a feeling and starts being a force. The glasses are another key. Piggy's spectacles start as a symbol of intelligence and practicality. They are used to light the fire, which is the boys' only chance of rescue. When Jack's tribe steals the glasses, they do not just take Piggy's sight, they take the means of rescue. The message is harsh. When a society abandons reason, it loses the fire that could save it. What remains is the wildfire, the one that burns, the one that destroys, the one that finally brings the officer. Even rescue, in the end, comes not from the signal fire but from the destructive fire. That is a bitter truth about how often the adult world only notices a disaster after the smoke is already rising. Then there is Roger. Roger is the most frightening character in the book because he does not start as a monster. He starts as a quiet, moody boy who likes to throw stones at the little ones, but carefully so that he misses. That early detail is devastating. Roger still has enough of the old rules in his head to stop himself from hitting a child. He throws the stones to miss. But by the end of the book, Roger is the one who leans on the lever and kills Piggy without hesitation. The arc of Roger is the arc of the book. The rules fade, and the restraint fades with them. The title itself is a clue. Lord of the Flies is a translation of Beelzebub, an old name for the devil. The Lord of the Flies in the book is not a character in the usual sense, It is a pig's head on a stick, left by Jack's tribe as an offering to the beast. Simon has a vision of it, and the head seems to speak to him. It tells him the truth he already suspected. The beast is not something out there to be fought. The beast is inside every one of them. The devil does not arrive on the island. He is homegrown. That vision is the darkest scene in the book, and many readers miss its meaning. The pig's head is covered in flies, hence the name. It is decaying, rotting in the heat. The head tells Simon that the boys themselves are the beast. It says, "Fancy thinking the beast was something you could hunt and kill." That sentence is Golding's thesis, spoken by a rotting pig's head on a stick. It is grotesque on purpose. The truth, Golding seems to say, is not beautiful. It is covered in flies. Simon's death follows almost immediately, and the sequence is no accident. Simon is the only one who fully understands the message. He carries the truth back to the group, and the group kills him for it. That is one of the oldest patterns in human history. The person who sees the truth is often the one the crowd destroys. Simon is not a hero in the traditional sense. He is a saint, a sacrifice, a boy too good for the island. And his death proves the exact thing he tried to say. The beast is them. After Simon, the book moves quickly into total breakdown. Piggy dies. The conch shatters. Ralph is alone. Sam and Eric, the twins, are captured and forced to join Jack's tribe. By the final hunt, the island has become a single organized system of violence, with painted faces, a war dance, and a fire set to flush out the last dissenter. It is not chaotic. That is the horror. It is orderly. The boys have built a society, and that society's purpose is to hunt. So what is the book really for? It is not a survival manual. It is not a story about what happens when children are left alone. It is a mirror held up to every reader. Golding is asking each of us, what would you do? Would you hold the conch? Would you keep the fire? Or would you pick up a spear and paint your face? The uncomfortable answer is that most of us do not know. And the book suggests that the difference between Ralph and Jack is not character. It is circumstance. Ralph is not a saint. He feels the same excitement at the first pig kill. The only difference is that Ralph, for a while, remembers the rules. Jack stops remembering. That is what makes the story so disturbing. The boys are not monsters. They are ordinary children. The little uns are afraid of the dark. The big uns are homesick. They cry for their mothers at night. They are not evil in the way a villain in a movie is evil. They are evil in the way that real people are evil. Gradually, under pressure, with excuses, in a group, and then too late. The book does not let the reader stand outside and judge. It puts the reader in the circle, holding a spear. The book has never gone out of print, and it has been taught in schools for decades, sometimes to readers too young to fully understand it. That is a strange fate for a novel this bleak. But the reason it endures is that the question it asks is permanent. Every generation finds its own version of the island: a school, a workplace, a country, a comment section, any place where rules weaken and fear rises. The island is not a geographical location. It is what happens when nobody feels responsible. And yet, there is one more turn. The book is often read as a story about the absence of adults. But the adults are not absent from the novel. They are present as a war, as a dead parachutist, as a naval officer at the end. The adult world is not a safe harbor. It is the same island, just larger. The war that sent the boys into the sky is the same war being fought on the ground. When the officer arrives, he does not rescue the boys from savagery. He returns them to a world that has been doing far worse. The comfort of the ending is false. Ralph weeps for the end of innocence, but the reader knows the innocence was already gone before the plane ever crashed. In the end, Lord of the Flies is not a story about an island. It is a story about a conch shell, a pair of glasses, a signal fire, and a painted face. It is a story about how easily the rules fall, and how quickly the beast rises when they do. It is a story about the moment a group of boys stop seeing each other as companions and start seeing each other as prey. And it is a story about the one thing that could have saved them. The voice of Simon, the reason of Piggy, the stubborn hope of Ralph. All of it drowned out by drums. When you close the book, the island stays with you. Not because it is exotic or dangerous, but because it is familiar. The beast is not on some distant shore. It is in the next room, in the next headline, in the next moment. A crowd decides someone is not one of us anymore. The book does not offer a solution. It offers a warning. Keep the conch. Keep the fire. And when someone says the beast is out there, look instead at the hands holding the spears, including your own.